July 1, 2023, number 4003 starts with "This shirt is a second skin. It's perfect," which was a subject line of an email. And true or false, don't we all adore perfection? I've been waking up when I do get up these days with a groggy head, with brain fog. Isn't it already a blast from the past? With not a morning person head. And I'm not a morning person, at least when I have the structure of a job, and I've had a 30-year career as an executive assistant. Granted, I had no idea one might have a career as a glorified secretary when I was first seated at a desk with the nameplate that announced to the unfortunate folks who might encounter me that this was who I was, that this is who I am, but it is, and I'm not even the least bit cubicle resistant, nor am I cubicle dependent. In fact, I can happily take any space around 4x5 and turn it into a pleasant workspace most days, just not this morning. And the reason is simple. It's because for the last year, I've had no cubicle of residence, meaning I've had no semblance of daily structure at all. And when that happens, I gravitate toward being a night owl, which I find torturous. So for most of 4 years, I've had but one residence and no official office or employer. In fact, this is barely a residence, my home away from work. It's tiny, it's cheap, and it requires an extraordinary amount of work just to maintain. Chalk that up as another reason I've no home of employment at present. Truth be told, it's been longer than a year. My last job, like the ones I've had over the past decade, was a temporary job, a contractual obligation. But I did have an entire office to myself, one that upon entering or exiting, I could lock, one that was mine and only mine. So during my so-called successful and lengthy career, I've only ever had one real office that was singularly mine. And while in general, I'd much prefer the illustrious career of a person who performs his duties from a cubicle to one who does so in a spacious office for one with a beautiful view and an actual door, given the fact that it is usually the executives I support who have these, it was a joy having one of those for 3 months of contractual labor. And speaking of temporary employment, which I unexpectedly found myself niched into starting a decade ago, in much the same way I randomly found myself ensconced within a career that has at least intermittently given me no small amount of success and financial independence. And since I've given back to it a right goodly amount of success, I'm flummoxed over whatever the reasons are that I have no job at present, and I've never worked trying to nab one. Never worked harder trying to nab one, at least since I left that last lovely but temporary gig in which I had an actual office, full-time permanent work that is, so I have simply refused to even look at temp positions this past year. But look at me now. I suppose that all this has been a way to say that I should shut up and get back to the business of finding a new cubicle of residence. Or perhaps I should run for office, president cubicle perhaps. My chances might be just as good at landing a job, but if I'm being honest, that might be just another way to draw out the time between now and when I might once again say, and with too much relief, that I have found a home of employment.